Well, folks, it's Thursday, 23rd of May, and that means, of 2024, that means it's full moon night. And guess what I am going to do? I'm going to do the crazy thing I've been doing since the moon has left the first quarter. I am going to subject you all once again, if possible, depending upon their sky position, which should be somewhere right about up there, once again to the Coma Berenice group of galaxies that I've been following for the last 3 videos. And you know what? This may not be the last if I get a chance to view them, because we'll want to actually view them under really good sky conditions. Now, I wasn't going to come out and do this. I was thinking about it. The sky was so clear today that it makes sense for me to just go right ahead and track down those beautiful sparkles in the hair of Queen Berenice. By 9 o'clock, probably another 40 minutes, I'll actually be out, but I need to come out and do some synchronization of the mount, probably to Denebola. All right, catch you later. Well, let's have a quick look at Denebola. It's about 9:45. I can still see some color in the sky. Only the glow of the full moon. The full moon was earlier today in the morning here. Only the glow of the full moon is visible to the east. It'll be very interesting to see Coma Berenice's galaxy group that I've been following for the last moon cycle. It'll be very interesting to see how they'll present tonight. I suspect it'll be the best views we've had yet, but who knows? I could be mistaken. To begin with, we will have a look at the most elusive of the Queen's coiffure galaxies. NGC 4136, it has the faintest absolute average surface brightness. It's a magnitude 11 galaxy, 3.9 by 3.6 arc minutes. As I recall, its average surface brightness is 13.9. Spiral with a bar, lowercase c, and a ring. Now, we'll be fortunate to be able to clearly make out the galaxy, and I am seeing it quite nicely on the screen. So this is definitely a better view. With the full moon at 100% illumination, but located some 90 degrees to the east, we are definitely getting a better view than we did during the end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, and on day 11 or 12 of the lunar cycle. Now it is 2 to 3 days later than the last views, and galaxy NGC 4136 at right ascension 1209.17, declination plus 2955.37, is giving its best view yet. But pretty hopeless if you're looking for that ring. However, I suspect that 3 nights from now, if the weather holds and we have one more tour of this galaxy group, which is about a dozen galaxies, taken out of the Wiltirian Sky Guide, because they're all accessible through scopes that are 12 inches and larger. I think that the views in 3 to 4 days where there's no moon whatsoever, we may just make out that annularity around NGC 4136. Now we're going to see a series of brighter galaxies, reasonably condensed. This is NGC 4150, galaxy in Coma Berenice, magnitude 11.6, smaller than 4136, and fainter, but because of its smaller size and more condensed structure, this is a lenticular spiral class O rather than a more diffuse class C on the Hubble Divoculair's morphological chart. This galaxy is obviously much brighter on the screen and more condensed. The galaxy is 45 million light years distant. We're in pretty much the same region, but we're at plus 30 and a half, almost a half degrees in declination, and we are seeing no obstruction of the scope whatsoever. The sky position is quite good from Penty, the backyard observatory. Like NGC 4150, NGC 4203 is a fairly bright galaxy, brighter than the last, but a little larger. It's a galaxy in Coma Berenice. It's also a lenticular spiral with a bar, so it has more condensed nucleus than our first galaxy, 4136. 4203 is magnitude 10.9, 3.5 by 3.2 arc minutes, spiral with a bar, lenticular class, 50 million light years distant. A little further south than NGC 4203 is NGC 4245, galaxy Coma Berenice. You're going to hear that a lot this evening. Magnitude 11.4, 3.3 by 2.4 arc minute, football-shaped galaxy, spiral with a bar, lenticular class, between a lenticular and an A class. This galaxy does have a ring, and hopefully at some point in the next few days we will actually get to see it. Galaxy is 34 million light years distant. We're at plus 29, a little more than a half degree in declination, and quite obvious on the field. This is a memorable galaxy, NGC 4251. I call it the 6 o'clock galaxy because on the screen you can see the extensions outside the core pointing pretty much straight up and straight down in terms of the screen position. NGC 4251, galaxy Coma Berenice, magnitude 10.7, 3.6, 2.5 arc minutes, spiral with a bar, lenticular class, and a ring, 44 million light years distant. We are at plus 28 degrees, so we've headed a little further south than our last study, which was 4245. And there is a pretty fair view. No ring, however. NGC 4274 is a larger galaxy, but a little edgy on. It's 6.8 by 2.4 arc minutes at magnitude 10.4, spiral with a bar, lowercase ab, so 1.5 times removed from lenticular class, with a ring, 43 million light years distant. And this is giving, as all the galaxies have this evening, we are seeing visible improvement in presentation due to the fact that even though the moon is full, it's still 90 degrees distant from the sky. I am seeing something that almost resembles darkness overhead. So these views may be pretty close to what we'll see when the moon is out of the picture. But the extensions on this galaxy are quite present, certainly at least 3 to 4 arc minutes across its entire length. NGC 4278 is probably our brightest galaxy magnitudinally this evening. Magnitude 10.2, 4 by 3.9 arc minutes, and you're not going to see much in the way of texture because this is an elliptical, probably an elliptical class 1, 41 million light years distant. I've given information out about how large these galaxies are. This one's 4 arc minutes in major diameter, 41 million light years. You multiply the 4 by the 41, you get 160. 160 is about half the distance to where we would see our own galaxy at about 300 million light years distant would present at 1 arc minute. So this one, when reduced to 1 arc minute in size, is about half the size of the Milky Way galaxy, puts it at about 45 to 50,000 light years in diameter. But it is very bright because it is an elliptical, very mature elliptical galaxy with most of its cold dark matter converted to stars, and those stars are of the K and M class, very long-lived stars, many, many, many of them, and that's what presents such a condensed view with such radiative brilliance, but it's mostly down in the orange range, although it looks quite white in terms of its color spectrum. Sharing the field with 4278 is 4283. We've seen 4278 jump towards the top part of the screen and a fainter galaxy taking its place on the screen. As you see, 4283, galaxy Coma Berenice, magnitude 12.1, smallish elliptical at about a little further out, 47 million light years distance. It's an elliptical, probably a class 0 because it presents at 1.4 by 1.4 arc minutes. Now there is an even fainter galaxy on the screen, and I believe it's somewhere right around down here. It'd be interesting to find out what it is, and maybe I will I'm busy on another project, maybe I'll do a little research on it tomorrow to see if I can determine what the magnitude is and what the designation is of that particular galaxy. But for the time being, you are seeing NGC 4278 towards the top of the screen, large and bright, and a brightish NGC 4283, but smaller in the middle of the screen. Both are within each other's gravitational influence wells. Like all the other galaxies, we are getting the best views we've had in the roughly 8-week-long, little more than a week-long cycle of viewing these galaxies at Coma Berenice. NGC 4314 is magnitude 10.6, 3.9 by 3.7 arc minutes, spiral with a bar in lowercase a, 39 million light years distant. The galaxy is almost at plus 30 degrees in declination, and it is approaching the middle of the 12th hour at 22 minutes and 32 seconds. There is our view. We are seeing some associated nebulosity with NGC 4314. I do not believe I was seeing any of that extensional luminosity previously. So once again, a decent view on a soon-to-be moonlit night.
Open my eyes, world, to 1,000 mysteries. The day is
A little further north and a little further east than 4314 is 4414, which basically points out the fact that the drier catalog, the NGC New General Catalog, is based on based on progression from, I believe when it was set up, it started around December 21st, the shortest day of the year, which was 0 hour, and has now progressed almost. We're within about a month of the longest day of the year, and we are at NGC 4414. Galaxy in Coma Berenice, the brightest of the evening, magnitude 10.1, 3.6 by 2 arc minutes, spiral of the lowercase c, so 3 times removed from a lenticular. And we are seeing associative nebulosity with this galaxy. It is quite apparent, no averted vision needed here. We're at 12 hours, 26 minutes, 27 seconds. Declination plus 31, 13, 22. We have a couple more galaxies on our list for the evening, and then I would like to see if we can maybe pick out a 15th magnitude galaxy in the Coma Virgo group, and maybe one of the brighter Messier class galaxies in that same group of galaxies. Here we have the faintest and most distant galaxy of the evening as part of the 12 set, a dozen or so galaxies that I'm touring in Coma Berenice, Queen Berenice's coiffure. NGC 4447, Galaxy Coma Berenice, is magnitude 13.9, but is sub 1 arc minute, so 0.9 by 0.7 arc minute, spiral with a bar of the lenticular class with a ring, 326 million light years distant. Once we get below 1 arc minute in size, we probably want to start looking at its per arc second luminosity. And I believe on this galaxy it's 22.98, almost 23. And one of the things I'm experimenting with is the best way to really compare them is to subtract 9 from whatever that number is in terms of per arc second average surface brightness, and you end up with 14, and that gives you a pretty good idea about the relative brightness of the galaxy. Now, I'm not so sure that we're getting much of a view. I do believe the galaxy is in the field. In fact, there is a fainter galaxy in the field with it as well, and I believe it's up in this region of the screen. So there's a couple of galaxies here which also might merit some research time mañana, but we shall see. What I'm going to do now is kind of just do some adventitious galaxies. I would like to see if we can turn up a 15th magnitude galaxy this evening. This 14th magnitude galaxy is apparent but quite small. So let me go ahead and step through the Gemini 2 controller and look for some good candidates in the sky's middle third. Well, not quite very far north, but still in decent sky position is NGC 4453, galaxy in Virgo, magnitude 14.8, 0.5 by 0.2 arc minutes, spiral with a bar, over more than 1/2 billion light years distant, 520 million light years. We're at 12 hour 28:46 in right ascension and 6 degrees 30 minutes and 42 seconds in declination. Now I can't tell you whether it's on the screen or not. I am not getting a particularly good view. We'll have a look at it later. But I wouldn't be surprised if this almost 15th magnitude galaxy isn't quite apparent. It is half the size, by the way, of our previous study, which was NGC 4447. So the light would be more condensed, and it probably would have about a 22 to 23 magnitude average surface brightness in terms of the per arc second measurement. I do believe I am seeing it on the screen. I think it's right about there. Well, here we have our Carpe Noctem view for the evening, a pair of real beauties, almost overhead, neither of which, the bright one, is not a Messier class galaxy. This is although it might very well have been discovered by Messier. This is NGC 4490, Galaxy in Canis Venatici. It's pretty far north, and fortunately we're not getting any blockage of the scope at this point. although I can see the light of the moon on the dew shield. NGC 4490 is magnitude 9.8. It is a perfect, oblately presented 6.4 by 3.2 arc-minute galaxy, spiral with a bar and lowercase cd, which is why it is giving such a great view of texture. The galaxy is a mere 28 million light years distant, and if you recall, if we multiply 6 by 30, we'll call it 180 million light years. That means with the Milky Way galaxy at about 300 million light years at 1 arc minute, because we just reduced NGC 4490 to a 1 arc minute size, this galaxy is probably somewhere around 55 to 60,000 light years in diameter. We're at 12 hours, 30 minutes, and 36 seconds with a declination of 41, 38, and 31. And what a fine find for the evening to say Carpe Noctem. I just wrapped up the evening's observations, and there's the moon off just above the horizon to the south and east. Adios, moon. See you next cycle.